The UK crime story, Myra Hindley and Rose West. The UK crime story as a whole cannot be told exhaustively without discussing women who have been given life sentences without parole. If you watched our video, The 4 UK Women Jailed for Life Without Parole, you likely have come across women such as Lucy Ledby, Joanna Dennehy, Myra Hindley and Rose West. As we can't find enough space to discuss these women in great detail in that video, we've elected to produce a different video for each of the 4. However, there's something unique about Myra Hindley and Rose West that inspires the production of this video about the UK crime story, dealing with how they met in prison, as well as the similarities and differences between the two. About Myra Hindley. Let's give you some more details about Myra first and Rose later. Born in Crumpsall on 23rd of July 1942, Myra Hindley had a sullen background. Her parents, Nellie and Bob Hindley, were so poor that they couldn't afford to give her a decent upbringing, where she was raised in Gorton, an area of Manchester dominated by working-class people living in Victorian slum housing. To complicate her childhood, her father was an alcoholic who was always violent towards his wife and Myra and her siblings. In August 1946, her younger sister was born Maureen, and the family poverty became more gripping. Myra had to be sent to live with her grandmother. She braved all that and was introduced to a religion for a short while. At the instance of her father, she had a Roman Catholic baptism and took the confirmation name of Veronica. She developed some interest in religion. Her first employment was as a junior clerk at a local electrical engineering firm where she ran errands and typed. She was well loved by both boys and other girls. It didn't take long for her to have dates, courtships and engagements. It was probably her wrong choice of a mate that lured her into crime. Myra Hindley and Moor Murderers. Today, most searches for Myra Hindley will bring about the alias she shared with Ian Brady, the Moor Murderers. While working with Millwards as a typist, Myra became infatuated with Ian Brady. Their dating became more frequent and feelings for each other grew, even though she had some reservations about some aspects of Ian's character. One red light she was an incident when he drugged her, but her obsession with him made her remain with her would-be partner in crime. Her relationship with Ian took no time before it began rubbing off on her. Myra claimed that Ian had a sweet talk about committing the perfect murder as early as July 1963. Myra and Ian carried out 5 murders in and around Manchester, England between that month, that is July 1963 and October 1965. On 12th July they murdered 16-year-old Pauline Reed, and she was their first victim. The poor teenager had attended school with Myra's younger sister Maureen and had also been in a short romantic affair with David Smith, another local teenager who had been convicted 3 times for minor crimes. John Kilbride, aged 12, was their next victim. On the 23rd of November 1963, they lured John away from a market in Ashton-under-Lyne and murdered and buried him in Saddleworth Moor. The third victim was 12-year-old Keith Bennett, who disappeared on 16th of June 1964. They also lured the young boy into the mini pickup driven by Myra and drove him to a lay-by on Saddleworth Moor, where Ian sexually assaulted Keith, strangled and killed him. He was buried there. Leslie Ann Downey was also murdered by the duo on 26 of December 1964. They approached her and asked her for help in taking packages to their car and then to Wardlebrook Avenue. At their house, they had Leslie Ann Downey undressed, gagged and posed for photographs before raping and killing her. The killing of the 5th victim, 17-year-old Edward Evans, on the evening of 6th of October 1965 was not so different. Myra Hindley arrest and conviction. On 11th of October 1965, Myra was apprehended 4 days after the arrest of Ian. She was charged with murdering Evans, Downey and Kilbride. The trial began on 19th of April 1966 in a specially prepared courtroom. The trial that lasted 14 days was at Chester Assizes before Mr. Justice Fenton Atkinson. Their dock was fitted with bulletproof glass in case someone wanted to kill Myra and Ian due to the public outrage at the crimes. A public address system costing £2,500 and £500 worth of telephone equipment were also provided. It was a trial witnessed by an international audience, including journalists. On 6th of May 1965, she was convicted of 2 of the 3 murders and found complicit in the 3rd after the jury deliberated for a little over 2 hours. She was sentenced to life imprisonment since the death penalty had been abolished just 6 months earlier. Ian was found guilty of all 3 murders and was sentenced to 3 concurrent life sentences. Myra Hindley was sent to HM Prison Holloway. After 20 years of incarceration and failed appeals for parole, she confessed to involvement in the 2 other murders. She died as a prisoner at West Suffolk Hospital in November 2002 at the age of 60. About Rose West. Born Rosemary Pauline West on the 29th of November 1953, she is an English serial killer who also had a collaborator in person of Fred West, her late husband, Fred West. They both were charged with the torture and murder of at least 9 young women between 1973 and 1987. Rose was also charged with the murder of her 8-year-old stepdaughter Charmaine in 1971. She consented and actively supported the raping of the little girl by her father. The majority of these heinous crimes were committed at their residence in Gloucester. After the arrest of Fred on 6th of August 1992, he was charged with raping his 13-year-old daughter, while Rose was arrested and charged with child cruelty, but the case against them was dropped on the 7th of June 1993. Following the discovery of more evidence by the police in their home at 25 Cromwell Street, both of them were arrested in February 1994. The human remains and apparent signs of torture were enough to convict. In April 1994, she was sentenced to a whole life order without any hope of getting out on parole. Her husband killed himself by hanging. Rose is still serving her life imprisonment at HM Prison New Hall, Flockton, West Yorkshire. She was convicted in 1995 of 10 murders. The meeting of Myra and Rose. Myra and Rose are 2 of Britain's most notorious serial killers, apart from being among the women in Britain who got life sentences without any possibility of parole. At some point, each of them was taken to HMP Durham's prison wing called Hell Wing. It was about this time that the duo got together in 1995. Rose's first paramour behind bars was Myra Hindley, who happened to be admitted for health reasons at the hospital wing at HMP Durham. Rose was actually taken with Hindley, impressed by her ability, knowledge and understanding of various subjects. According to Rose, Hindley had studied various Open University courses. However, there were some stark differences between them. Rose has since been taken to the HM Prison New Hall. Jealousy and romance? Eventually, Myra and Rose became romantically involved, and they used their murderous temperament to either coerce or manipulate fellow inmates and officers. According to their fellow prisoner Linda Calvey, Myra and Rose were more than just friends. Linda, known as the Black Widow because of the shotgun murder of gangster lover Ronnie Cook, insisted that something was fishy and was desperate to know what the gruesome twosome was up to. However, it didn't take long before the affair turned sour. This clue is apparent in the words of Rose's advocate Goatley, who visited her regularly in prison. Just after a few months, Rose's opinion of Hindley had changed dramatically. Rose said, "You have to watch Hindley, mind," adding that she was very manipulative and that you may not realise it until she gets you doing stuff for her. You can sense some jealousy there. Whatever, that heralded the end of the romance. Differences between them. Myra was a gay who had several gay relationships throughout her years in prison. By comparison, Rose had gay relationships both in the prison and out of prison. In fact, as a prostitute, she slept with both genders. In her comments, she even said that women were the only sexual. While Rose is still incarcerated at HM Prison New Hall, where she's serving a life sentence in West Yorkshire, after being convicted, Myra died in November 2002 from bronchial pneumonia at age 60. How do you feel about this crime story about Myra Hindley and Rose West? It certainly has many sides and twists. Please tell us how you feel about this story. Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell.